income is $28,547 in 2010. How do you gentlemen expect the citizens of Fentress County, when we're the fourth lowest median income in the state of Tennessee, to afford to pay for an $8 to $10 million justice center? How can you look at all of us and expect us to pay the bill when there are other counties, 21 counties, who are saying, we're going to go non-certified and we're not going to be certified and we're still going to run our jail and house prisoners and take care of them the best of our ability? I understand the black mold remediation and things like that need to be dealt with. But how can, when these other counties justify or find a way to increase their taxes or increase their insurance, how can we justify raising the taxes to the extent where we can't afford to pay for this justice center?
If there's 21 counties not certified, that means there's 73 or 4 that are certified.
1 out of every 4.5 counties are uncertified.
Are they housing all their prisoners?
They're housing prisoners, yes, sir.
All their prisoners?
No, I believe that, no, they're not housing all their prisoners. They can't house state prisoners either, of course, if they're not certified. But we only have 10 state prisoners.
Do you not realize that we just spent we're spending $200,000 this year for medical care for prisoners, most of which is other places? It's not, you can't look at other counties. We're trying to look at Fentress County.
We have to look at what they can afford, Bob.
Look at our school system, okay?
Right.
Don't we have a great school system?
We do.
We afford to.
Mm-hmm.
The same medium income.
We get a lot of state income from that school system, too. That assists us.
So do all these other counties, but we have a really good, look at our ambulance service. We get a
lot of grants for those ambulances.
Not for the operation of
no.
That's a small part of the operation, okay?
Right.
But how do we afford that? I get tired of here, we're so poor.
But we are. We're the fourth lowest income. The income is what you have coming in.
Wait. How do we have the ambulance service?
We get a lot of grants.
Well, for vehicles?
Yes.
But not for...
And we have a lot of volunteers in our community.
Okay. Look at our solid waste department. We're so poor, how can we afford an award-winning solid waste department?
Maybe we can afford an award-winning solid waste department.
Yes. Okay.
I know. No, we have one. I understand, but maybe we can't afford the budgeting for that.
Well, is that I don't think we need to crawl in the hole and say poor us. We need to do what we can for our citizens. We need to provide them protection. If we have
within reason.
If we have inmates in other counties, we need to handle that problem ourselves because that's going to be more expensive. Okay?
Right.
So just because 21 other counties are not certified, that's got nothing to do with it.
It's all relative is what I'm trying to say. You need to put it in perspective.
If we say that, we're so poor we can't do anything, then we wouldn't have.
We can't afford it right at this time. We can't afford it right at this time.
We've always been poor.
But you're going to tax us to the point where nobody can afford to be here. That's the frustrating part.
What's the tax rate in this county?
And what I'd like to say is, I can look those up and I will be back with you next month on it. I promise you that. Bill, I wanted to let you know that Chucky utilized a lot of volunteers to transport inmates back and forth. And Lowell vouched for that. Chucky would take special deputies who were non-paid, so an hourly salary was not accruing for the county to pay, and he would utilize just the gas money and obviously wear and tear on the vehicles to transport those prisoners. So when you're coming up with the figures, you need to take in consideration who was the sheriff and who was utilizing the most free labor possible.
Can I ask you some questions?
Sure.
About last month?
Yes.
You came up with a lot of information about our industrial buildings. Did you personally look at those buildings?
I personally looked at the warranty deeds and everything about them, and I know they were taxed appraised value.
Okay. Did you talk to anybody on the Chamber of Commerce about why those buildings were sold?
I did not speak to...
Did you talk to anybody on the industrial board about how those buildings were appraised?
No, I haven't been to an industrial board meeting. You had to turn that property over to the industrial board, otherwise they couldn't sell it.
So you really never looked at the buildings. You didn't talk to anybody on the chamber who's tried for years to get business.
What does the chamber have to do with selling property that they have control over who sells property in this county?
They're our main arm for recruiting industry. Do you know how long the Oshkosh building was empty before it was sold?
I'm sure it was empty for a while.
Okay. So what I'm asking...
So why is this county pushing for another business park?
Because we think, do you know what the...
We have so many empty buildings.
Well, do you know what? No, we don't have empty buildings. No. But
we sold them all, you're right.
You know that the contract, the Park Shirt building was the one that we had the $224,000 grant
for. Right.
Do you know that the contract to sell that building was signed to Parkshire on 8/15/2001, signed by David Beatty for a 10-year lease
I would like to have a copy of that.
for $3,300?
Because that was not recorded with the warranty deeds that were at the registrar's office.
And that what the price that we got for the building, it was a lease to buy option.
Right, but it was sold in 2008. So between 2001 and 2008, they didn't find it.
They paid rent on it, and then they exercised their option in 2008 on the contract that was signed in 2001 to buy it for $300,000 less their lease payment. All I'm saying is you came up here and you spat a lot of facts, and you really didn't know what you were talking about.
I do know a lot of what I'm talking about. Why is it taxed appraised at $1.1 million, and why are we paying taxes on that if it really isn't that value?
Okay. What I asked, did you know that we had not an assessment, a tax assessment, but an appraisal on the buildings to determine the sales price?
But we went way below that sales figure.
So who's giving you the information?
I went to the warranty. I got the warranty deeds. That's where I got the warranty deeds, and that's where I was getting my information.
You go look at the buildings.
I will look at the buildings. I promise you that before the next meeting. I will give you that, Bob. I respect you in that regard.
The condition of them and the ceiling height and that sort of thing.
Right. And I have one more question. Frank, do we carry errors and omissions insurance?